You are listening to Nightmare Road, your podcast for true crime and paranormal events. Proceed with caution, as some of the subjects covered may trigger certain individuals. Now join us as we journey down Nightmare Road.
Yes, all right. Here we go. That's welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road. Sorry, I had a straight face. I was just sitting there. I can't even do it now because I'm smiley. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And then 5, 4, and then I start laughing.
Yep.
Something wrong with me.
So, and somebody wanted to know what the heck we were laughing about every time we open the show, and it's you. You just start laughing.
Just dumb. That's what it is. I laugh, and then it causes you to laugh, and then I'm like, ah, yeah. But all right, well, welcome to another episode of Nightmare Road, you bunch of sick people. I am one of your hosts, Deacon, here with the very, very fabulous
SOS.
looking fabulous, like always.
Oh, thank you. We have a murder case tonight, so we've been dealing spooky paranormal stuff. So I wanted let's do murder. I mean, someday the FBI is going to flag my text to you because it says, "Do you want to do murder or what?"
You want to do murder? Like, hey, what's going on? You know, I already look at me. I look like the guy that every superhero like I'm the first guy he beats up. Like when they go out there and they go too far, you know, like oh, a mugger, and they go and they just like beat the crap out of me and they overdo it. That's what I look like right now. Guy in the alley. So,
don't make
you okay?
Don't make me laugh.
What happened? Anyways, all right. So what do you got for me today?
All right. So this story is kind of bizarre, and it's spooky in the fact that I was sitting here thinking about what if it happened here, like, and you'll see what I'm talking about in just a few minutes. So we're talking about Daniel Laplante or Laplante, but I think it's Laplante. It's Laplant. Laplante. I think the E is probably silent.
It's probably silent.
Don't know.
Plus, this is America, so LaPlante.
I don't know, and I butcher everybody's name, so, you know, what else is new? But, so he was born May 15th, 1970, and he grew up in Townsend, Massachusetts. So we're finally getting to the East Coast. We've been in California for a lot of our murders. But,
what's going on over there?
Yeah, really, go figure. LaPlante was, unfortunately, he grew up really traumatically. So he was sexually and psychologically abused by almost all the adults in his life, including his dad, his stepdad, and his psychiatrist.
Oh, man.
Yes. Yeah, so you go to somebody, or you're sent to somebody for help, and then they abuse you too. That is like beyond effed up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This poor guy.
That's why I'm not going to any psychiatrist. I'd rather get into a knife fight with Magic Johnson than go to a psychiatrist. Are you okay?
Holy shit. Anyway, he was dyslexic, and he had trouble in school, and his classmates described him as creepy and weird. Poor guy, right?
Yeah.
So as a teenager, he begins seeing a psychiatrist due to his behavior and his lack of personal hygiene. Now, the hygiene issue is that's kind of key with some of these kids, because I've been around a few kids that have a lack of personal hygiene who have all been in therapy.
Yeah.
And it usually stems from chronic, repetitive, sexual, psychological abuse.
Yeah, a lot of it too, like that's one of the red flags, I mean, with VA and people that, you know, have served in the military and there's something wrong with them, they just stop taking care of themselves, you know, the psychological scarring is there. And it's just because they become unaware of the world around them. They're so stuck in their own thing, they forget to shave, shower. Some of them even go days without eating because they just can't, you know, and those are red flags to look for.
I will never have that problem, just saying, the whole eating thing. So.
Oh, me neither.
His home life was obviously chaotic, to say the least, and it was described by people in the community as a junkyard. Like he literally lived in a junkyard. So it doesn't sound like it was messy. It sounds like it was a real junkyard.
Yeah, an actual junkyard.
Yeah. He attended the St. Bernard's High School in Fitchburg, Massachusetts, where faculty and children described him as a loner. He wasn't particularly friendly, probably because he was picked on all the time.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you if you stink, they're gonna be like, "Oh, here comes a smelly kid,"
Yep.
And one of the big things with these cases, well, not just with the whole thing with people that are abused and then they're picked on, in their brains, they're not putting together that maybe it's my hygiene, it's just them, like me. There's something wrong with me, So
right,
and they don't take into account the what's going on, like maybe I'm doing something. No, it's not that. It's just me as a person, So a lot of the times with the abuse, it's almost like they don't say anything because they feel like it's deserved,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
sad.
It is very sad.
What are you doing to me?
So by 15, this kid was breaking into homes and he was stealing cars. No, he was breaking into homes and cars. He was stealing everything he could. By 1986, so he's 16, he became obsessed with a classmate named Tina Bowen. She's 15 years old, so she's a year younger. They attended the same school, and he had, amazingly enough, taken this young lady out on a date, and he became absolutely obsessed with her. It was just one date. She could have been one of those girls who's just super friendly and super nice and didn't want to hurt his feelings. So she's probably like, yeah, let's go to the movies or let's go to dinner or yeah, okay. We'll go meet at Foster Freeze.
Yeah, and let's go down to the roller rink, whatever it is that old people used to do.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, I mean, those people are around where she probably saw somebody that was getting picked on, had a hard time, and she's like, well, let's be nice, So yeah, that's probably what it was. Just felt bad for him. His brain, it was something completely different, delusional.
Well, yeah, and some people have that psychological trigger where if you're nice to them, it's instant love. It's instant possession. And that's scary.
Yeah, and so with now I'm getting maybe I'm not getting off topic, but like with the stalkers, they have the 5 different type of stalkers, and one of the types is called the incompetent stalker. It's not because he can't do anything right. It's just that he doesn't understand social cues and he can't. So his social interaction is very incompetent. So it's something you can work at a gas station and that person's there, and then you walk by and you're like, hey, good morning, and then in their brain you're flirting with them or you're now in love with them, and then they can't grasp reality, basically. So now they begin to follow you around. They believe they're in a relationship with you. So they find out your phone number. They start calling you obsessively, like all kinds of different. It's nuts. So
yeah, it's nuts. So
I should stop.
So he's instantly into that stalking mode. But after Easter break, they return to school, and when Tina returns to school, some of the students told her that Daniel was facing rape charges.
Ooh.
Not for her, but on another, another gal, and her dad, Frank, I mean, that was it. It was like, you're not seeing this guy again, right? Because I don't know what happened. If they said he was facing rape charges, I can't find anything about those charges. But he was also a minor, and a lot of those records are sealed.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's probably because he's a minor, not a 49er, but he was underage.
Right. So over the course of the next several weeks, and the Paul, are you okay? Can I help you there?
Sorry, these cases just get me so like you have no idea. Like my heart rate goes up, and then I get like very uncomfortable and jittery. I'm wearing a hood. I look stupid. You know. I'm just trying to fix it.
I don't know. I'm like the opposite. I'm the one reading all this stuff constantly, trying to find us cases, and it doesn't bother me as much as you. So over the next several weeks, it's fall of '86. So this was Easter break, and then we've gone into fall now, right? He figures out how to gain entry, unbeknownst to the family, into the Bowen home.
Ooh.
Okay, so I'm not going to give the address, although the case does give the address, but I won't do that.
What's the address? Let's go see if he's still there.
So what he does is he finds a small crawl space that's no wider than he can squeeze into, and he goes into the crawl space and he stays in there, and he starts messing with the family. So they don't know he's there. He's in the crawl space. All right. So Tina, unbeknownst to the whole family, Daniel is in the crawl space. And this goes on for weeks and weeks. He's in the crawl space. So he's watching the family, like he's, I don't know, like maybe through the vents or something, or like duct work he's in, and something like that. Anyway, he's able to, he hears what's going on in the family household. And then one night, Tina and her sister, try to contact their recently deceased mother on a Ouija board, right? We just had that.
Yeah, we just had that episode.
Yeah, so Daniel decides he's going to start impersonating a ghost because he hears this.
Yeah, he hears them talking because he's over there, being Bruce Willis, in the air vents,
Yeah, so he's in the crawl space. So unlike my house, there's no entrance into the actual home from my attic. I don't have, the attic is separate. There's no trap door. You have to go outside to go into the attic.
Yeah.
So this house had the door and the ladder, right, to get in.
Yeah.
So when they would leave, he would go down into the house and he would rearrange things in the house. If they left, like, this is, what was this, 1986. So is this pre-cable, I think?
Yeah.
It's probably not that many channels, so he would mess with the channels on the TV. And then he would, like, drink all the milk and leave the empty carton in the fridge. And to, like, rearrange their kitchen and the furniture and all this stuff, and then leave.
Then he'd leave.
So they kept...
Stock up their Madonna albums.
What the hell is going on? Now, weirdly enough, we had something like that happen to us growing up. But, yeah, so we come home and, like, food had been consumed or my dad's beer had been drunk. First, they're all, like, pointing fingers at me.
And hey, you're over there drinking all the beer.
Man, leaving crumbs on the counter. My mom was obsessive about stuff like that. Like, always clean up after yourself. We finally caught the guy. It was a homeless guy nobody had keys growing up. Nobody owned keys to their homes.
Yeah,
in the mountains.
You left the door unlocked. Because,
So he befriended the dogs and he was coming in the house every day drinking beer and eating food and leaving. But I was like, so this guy's doing this too, right? So he's stalking the family in a big way. He even, he scrawled messages like, marry me and I'm in your room, like on mirrors and on notepads and stuff like that. And was leaving them for the girls to find. They were freaked out. So everybody's freaked out. And he's writing on the walls with like ketchup.
Oh.
Like so it would stain the walls.
Yeah.
And then this escalates over some time. And then they come home one day to find a photograph of the family pinned to the wall with a knife. Now we've escalated to...
Yeah, now we've crossed over. It's no longer, will you go to prom with me? Now it's like an actual threat.
Yep. So, originally Frank, the father here, Frank Bowen originally thought his daughters are messing with him because they're like, Dad, we're hearing thumps and all of this stuff's going on. And he's like, whatever. This is a single dad because his wife is dead.
Yeah.
And he's probably busting his butt and he's working all the time. And the girls were, 15 years old, 16 years old, and he probably thought, oh, really? Come on, knock it off.
Yeah. They're just bored. They're home. They want attention.
Yeah, so on December 8th, 1986, the girls return home to find that someone had used their toilet. Creepy. Probably because the was not probably left clean or whatever.
Yeah, toilet seat was down, peed all over the seat. Oh.
Something, And after a search by Frank, when he gets home, Daniel was discovered in a wardrobe. Like they had a separate wardrobe maybe in a room that didn't have a closet. And he's face painted, wearing a Native American style jacket and a ninja mask, and he was brandishing a hatchet.
It's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I just came here from Narnia. I don't know how I ended up in your home.
Right. So Frank gets the girls into a bedroom, and then Daniel gets. I'm sorry, this is weirdly written here, and I think I'm the one who wrote it. Anyway, Daniel escapes, and Tina and her sister leave through a different part of the house, and they go out and they call the police. So the police find Daniel 2 days later in a cellar of another house. So he's hiding out in another house. It takes him 2 days to find this kid. Okay. So he was hiding in a triangular space in a corner in a cellar of a house. So not his house, not their house, different house. And he'd been apparently living in the cellar of this other house for weeks, consuming their food when they were gone. Just like that weirdo bum that was in our house.
What an idiot.
Yeah. So thankfully the guy that was doing that in our house when my parents figured it out and figured out who he was harmless, and they got him a bus ticket to somewhere far away.
Right, to go to California.
So might be. So following
are you okay?
Yeah.
What happened?
I lost my train of thought. Okay, following his arrest at the Bowen home, Daniel was held in a juvenile facility until October 87, when his mother remortgaged her house, ensuring his $10,000 bail. So she had to put a second mortgage on the house to get him his bail money so that he could get out. So he was in there for like a year, I guess.
Probably crawling in their air vents.
Yeah, right? 2 months later, the worst was to come. So he's bailed out. And he's still stewing over this because he's still infatuated with Tina. So while awaiting trial, Daniel moved home, continued his daytime burglary spree. And on October 14th, 1987, he stole two .22 caliber firearms from a neighboring house. And on November 16th, 1987, he burglarized the home of the Gustafson family, which included a pregnant nursery school teacher, Priscilla Gustafson, her husband Andrew, and their two children, 5-year-old William and 7-year-old Abigail. But this wouldn't be the last time he broke into that home. Okay, so he breaks into that house, he steals the guns. On December 1st, 1987, he walks through the woods that separated his house from the Gustafson home. Okay, because a lot of homes, if you haven't lived on the East Coast, they develop these communities and they put like green belts. They leave the woods in between, so you'll have a green belt in between neighborhoods, right? So he walks from the house separating, right, to the Gustafson home, and he's armed with the .22. He later claims he didn't expect Priscilla and her children to come home. So he goes back to their house, and he confronts Priscilla with a gun and led her and her son to the bedroom. And he put William in the bedroom closet, little boy, and he tied Priscilla to the bed, making ligatures, and gagged her with one of his socks. So he took off his socks.
He took off his sock and he hasn't showered. Ugh.
So he
Jeez.
sexually assaults her, and then he shoots her twice in the head. Then he takes William to the bathroom, and he drowns him in the tub. Yes. And as he was leaving, he encounters Abigail, who returns home from the school bus, and he takes her to the bathroom and drowns her as well. So this kid has... Anyway. So then he just returns home, and he attends his niece's birthday party that evening. Like, no big deal.
Like nothing.
Everything's fine. You know? But these people who have psychological issues like that can compartmentalize really, really well. They just turn off that section of the brain.
It's just done.
It's odd.
It's like going shopping. He's like, I just got my shopping done, and now I can. And it probably, that can just. Then again, if you're already that weird, like, how much more strange can you behave? He probably went to the birthday party and it's like, oh, here comes old Stinky, and.
Yeah. So I don't know why he did this, other than he was going to the house maybe to probably eat, and he was hiding out in other basements. He was hiding out in the crawl space. So I don't know. Would he have committed murder even earlier if he had been found? He didn't kill
the girls.
Or the father of the Bowens because they bolted out of the house before he could do anything, and he wasn't armed. Well, he had the hatchet, but he wasn't armed.
Yeah, but then again, it's like now he was armed and he's been probably being incarcerated, like maybe did something to him, just sitting there.
That's true.
Somebody with so many problems, you can't even write them down, so.
So, Andrew Gustafson, the father and husband, had been calling his wife like all afternoon, and obviously she's not answering the phone. When he returned home, he found his family dead, and he I can't even imagine the horror that he went through. So when the police came out, they used the scent dog to try to track whoever had been in the house, and it was the scent dogs tracked a scent trail. They didn't know it was Daniel yet, but they tracked the trail right to Daniel's front door.
Yeah,
so
they probably stunk so bad they didn't even need the dogs. They're like, oh, something smells like BO this way.
Yep. So he fled, and they had a massive manhunt in town to find him. He went on another burglary spree, and while they were trying to find him, he still can't, stop himself from stealing everything. And then they finally find him hiding behind a dumpster on December 3rd, 1987. He went to trial for the Gustafson murders October 1988, and the jury found him guilty, and he was convicted on 3 life sentences. So when he broke into the Gustafson home, not only, he stole all kinds of stuff. It wasn't just like valuable stuff or guns that he was stealing. It would be like somebody's remote control. Yeah. It was like he just couldn't, took weird stuff. Cordless telephones.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, why would you need a cordless phone? Because when you're away from the transmitter, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. He's probably like, hold on, guys, I'm going to... Probably does it, so he probably just took the cord, and he's like, I'm going to talk to my phoneless cord, just like, try to get people to like him.
I don't know, when...
Over here smelling like Oscar the Grouch.
Anyway, there's some court documents that you can find online, and they're disturbing. I don't know. It's creepy. I started thinking back about what happened to us in my childhood with this guy, and then I'm thinking, wow, I wonder if he was ever in the house while we were there. We had a really big house growing up, and it wasn't because we had any money. It was because it was a really big house. It was the only thing we could afford, and it was a heap my dad was fixing up, remodeling.
Yeah.
So he could have easily been in our house. There was 7 or 8 bedrooms in this house. It was massive. It had been a senior care facility at one time, and we didn't know that when we bought it. So it was just a massive house. So there was numerous places that if that guy was in the house when we were there, he could have hid very easily.
There was that case in where was it? It was somewhere in the United States where this guy had set up cameras because same thing, his food has been going missing, things have been, this place. So he believes that that the maintenance people were coming in and like eating his food, and he's like, these damn maintenance people are coming in and stealing my food, when I'm not home, I'm gonna catch them. So he like sets up the camera, and then he sees a vent from the kitchen drop, and this small woman comes down, starts eating the food, and she looks horrible. She looks like something from like a horror movie. Hair all messed up, no shoes, and she's like eating the food, and then she like looks around, and then she like jumps up and grabs and pulls herself back up like a rat, and then and then she he called the cops, and it's like, oh, can you imagine that? And this was while he was home. This was like in the middle of the night. He was sleeping, and then she drops in the kitchen.
That's like your worst fear, right? Because when is to be thinking you're safe in your home and you're not.
Well, I think one of my worst fears
like
is leaving my wallet at a bus stop or something. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, we all can't do hand-to-hand combat, but I think about it. It's like you just have to go with your gut. If you think something's wrong, something's wrong.
Something's wrong.
And I need to remind people, especially a lot of women out there, they're always afraid to call and ask people can you check my house before I go in? I just have a feeling.
Yeah.
I've had to do that. I've had to do it. I've actually, just because of something that happened to me, the police came by frequently and they cleared the house for me when I got home from work because of the situation that happened to me. So they'd clear it for me to make me comfortable. They'll do that for you.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. I mean, and like you just said, I mean, trust your gut. I mean, and it's part of, the police's, duty. They'll gladly check your home. They'll don't be embarrassed. It doesn't mean that you're, oh, look at you, you're paranoid, oh, you're just what? No, use the services. I mean, even guys out there, if you feel like something's wrong, have somebody check something out. I mean, it's a service, use it. I mean, it could be something like you pull into your driveway and something feels off. If something feels off, don't go into your house. Call call the non-emergency number. The officer will come by, he'll check it out, and if there's nothing, wrong with your house, don't be embarrassed, feel relieved,
Exactly. So my house is really active now that my dad's passed. It's just a part of my life, right? And it's part of what I do. So paranormal bumps in the nights don't bother me typically. But I was here in this house. It was probably about 6 months after my dad died. And I have a full basement on this house, and it's so there's a family room downstairs and stuff, so the dogs are asleep in the living room, cat's on the couch like she is right now, and this horrendous crash downstairs. Like, I'm thinking, holy shit, somebody is downstairs and has crashed into something and knocked something over because they don't want to turn on a light, right? Man, and I got guns all over the place, so I'm grabbing guns and I'm going downstairs. And you think nothing can faze you until you're in that situation. And I'm like, well, I racked it so that somebody could hear it.
Yep.
Because I'm like, okay, most people, if they're breaking into a home, they're going to know the sound of a gun.
Yeah.
So I racked it, and I have to talk myself into going around the corner once I get down to the bottom of the stairs and flipping on that light. And I was just ready to shoot. That's all there was to it, right? I go through the whole downstairs. I go through every closet. I go through everything. There is nothing out of place. Nothing out of place. So.
Yeah, and it's just okay. So a couple of tips here for anybody out there listening.
Yeah.
Okay, so especially if you're and I'm gonna say it, especially if you're a woman and you're by yourself, nobody knows your house like you do. Somebody that's breaking into your house and it's dark, they're not going to know the layout of your home. You need to set up certain things around your house. Like let's say you have a long corridor, a long hallway, that could become your kill box. Okay, if anybody crosses into that space, there's where I'm gonna box this person in. This is where this person dies. So around your home, anything like doors, windows, leave things like a chair in front of the door. Leave a chair in front. That way, if somebody is coming in, they kick in the door. Now there's an obstacle. You're able to hear it. If somebody opens the door, they lockpick it, because you can buy lockpicks on Amazon. You can buy the automatic lockpicks, and those work well. They work actually really well for very common locks. Anything from master locks to doors. And it has a little trigger. It hits, and it goes really fast, and it hits those tumblers, and is able to open your door. So if that door opens, there's a chair. It's in the way. It's going to make a loud sound. It's going to, especially if you have one of those wooden floors or solid floors, it's going to make that sound. Near a window, put something that if somebody tries to stick their hand in or head through, something will fall. Just something to give you a heads up. Okay. I don't recommend people clearing their home. If you think something is up, call the police. There's a sound in my house. There's a sound in my house. I'm located here, and you gotta say it quiet. You gotta say it quiet, because the person could be one room over and you just didn't hear him, and now he knows where you're at. Always have a location in your home where that's your safe spot. Okay. It could be a closet. Figure out where it is. Make sure there's an outlet. You should always keep a phone charged. That's one thing I'm going to tell you guys. Always keep a phone charged, because even if it's out of service, it is still going to dial 911. Those are set up to where if you have no service on that phone, you can always dial 911. Have it always on a charger. That way you're not fumbling around looking for your phone. How many times have you done that? You're looking in the dark and you're looking for your phone. You grab it. The charger came off while you're sleeping and there's no charge. You're like, damn it, my phone. That you can go to this area in the home, typically a bedroom. If you have children, have your children understand, where you can have a whistle, but you have to drill it into the people in your home. If you hear, I whistle 3 times with one of those coach whistles, you guys know exactly where to run and where to. You guys all know that, because the problem is that when you're trying to set up a safe space in your home, you can't run around the house picking up kids, waking somebody up, and you have the gun and you're doing all this kind of. Everybody should already know, and drill it into the kids, and so you don't freak them out. Let them know this is what's happening. We're gonna even do a game. 3 times. How fast can you get to a location? How fast can you get to this safe spot? You're all gonna go to the same place. So that way, when it happens and it's drilled into them, you blow that whistle, and they'll wake up, and then they'll immediately know what's up. Once you're in your safe location, have your firearm ready. You know, dial 911 once you're in your safe location, and you tell them, I'm here, but you have to whisper. You don't want them to hear. I'm right here. I am armed. This is what I look like. Because there's a lot of situations where the guy or the woman, somebody's in my house, I think they're armed, the police come into the door, you have your gun and you're whipping it around, and they immediately there he is, and then you're the one that could get shot. So just give them a description of yourself. This is what I look like. This is what I'm doing. This is where I'm at, so that when the police come in, they know what's going on. So find your spot, rehearse it, understand where the layout of your home is. I know exactly where these people are at, or where this person is at. You have your kill zone. This person is coming through here. He's going to get led. Family members, some people have family that they have their own keys. They'll come in. You need to talk to your family. Like, look, you can't just barge in at 2:00 in the morning unannounced, because you got to fight with your wife. You had a fight with your husband. You had a fight with whatever it is. Don't come to my home unannounced. Make sure you call me first. If I don't pick up, find somewhere else. There's situations where somebody comes into the home and they end up getting shot, because it's a whole different thing. So anyways, those are just some quick tips, guys.
Yeah. Well, I was prepared to unload my whole magazine, but nobody was there. I mean, my point was that it was paranormal.
Yeah.
It was paranormal. There was
But
no. It sounded like just tons and like a whole shelving unit came over, and that's what I thought had happened. I thought maybe it had collapsed because I have a bunch of antiques downstairs. Nothing was out of place.
and congratulations on you for being able to do that. Wrap the gun, and then a lot of people freeze. There's people out there
Oh
that
no.
there's a lot of
Yeah. Did I lose you?
people.
Oh, yeah, it glitched and I didn't hear you when you were talking.
Oh, sorry. Let me. Oh, it looks like I also lost my.
Well, I mean, most people, if they're going to break into your home, they also understand the sound of a gun being racked.
And a lot of people were like, maybe this person is just he's harmless, she's harmless, she's coming." They understand if they break in your house at night, someone's in there. These people are here, and they're gonna try to do harm to you. They're prepared to do harm to you, and they recognize the sound of a firearm. Um, what was I gonna say? I forgot. Jeez, I'm so stupid.
Well, something to keep in mind. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. So there's a place called Gun for Hire Academy outside of New Jersey, and they do a lot of simunitions where with simunitions, you know, they'll actually run you through a very realistic scenario. They have you, okay, how is your bedroom set up? It's this way. Okay, we're gonna put the bed here. We're gonna move this here, and then they'll put like either relaxing music or something, and you're actually gonna fall asleep. You know, and then you fall asleep, or you're starting to fall asleep, and they're watching you on camera. Somebody kicks in that door, and they see how you react. There was a guy who was a champion quick draw. Those guys that and they have the gun and they draw. This guy was a champion. He was actually years of experience. So he takes the course. He's laying in bed. Somebody kicks in the door. He reaches for his gun and he throws the gun at them because he's in a panic. He throws the gun at them because he's in a panic, and he stands there and he freezes. And the guy just, unloads on him with paintballs. Pop, 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 pop. And again, you have to drill things. You have to understand how, because you don't know how you're going to react. And the fact that you reacted that way, you got the gun, but you're in the military too. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're going to be armed, get trained on it. Get trained on how to use it because you're going to be nervous. You're going to be scared. Yeah. You won't know if the safety's on. Remember, red means ready. Red means ready. Red means ready. It was drilled into us, right?
So a lot of it is muscle memory.
Red, yeah, so red means ready. You look down, it's red, you can fire. I mean, So these cases drill how important it is to listen to your family. If Frank had listened to his daughters, this kid might have been caught a lot earlier.
Yeah,
it may not have escalated. I don't know. Who's to say? Maybe he would have gotten the help he needed, and the poor Gustafson family wouldn't have been killed. Those children, I can't imagine the terror. Those poor babies being killed like that. You never know, and trust your gut, because all these people in school and the staff, the faculty, knew there was something off.
Yeah.
They knew something was off. And so the personal hygiene was a clue, the fact that he was a loner. There was all of these things that were raising alarm bells. And we just don't have any mechanism in this country to force help services. I know so many parents that have tried to get help for their kids, and there's no help to be found. It's so unbelievably expensive you can't afford to do it. It's $10,000 a month and more for a live-in facility for a child who's troubled.
Yeah. And what sucks is
wrong.
That, unfortunately, in this scenario, I mean, there was a professional involved, and he ended up abusing this kid.
Abusing him. Yep.
And so,
So, I mean, this kid didn't stand much of a chance, but that doesn't mean that people who have gone through the same type of abuse don't turn out the same way. There was just it was just something wrong. There was something wrong
yeah,
with him.
again, the warning signs. I mean, look at that, the Virginia Tech shooter, that kid. People saw him screaming at himself in a parking lot. People saw him
Yeah.
violently flailing his arms around and threatening people, and I don't see anything.
Well, 2 months ago, we have a woman in Pocatello who will stand on the corner, and she holds a lot of like rev, uh, revelation signs, like end times, and she's screaming and yelling at people. But she was also, I was unfortunately at a stoplight, like trapped, couldn't go anywhere, and she's screaming and yelling at me, and then she targeted three young ladies in a car. You could tell they were teenagers, and they were terrified. They didn't know what to do. And so she was coming at them, and they just finally, they kind of ran a red, and they turned right into traffic because they were terrified. And I called 911 to say, hey, you might want to do something about her. And they
Yeah,
said,
get
it's
this.
not an emergency. It's not an emergency. Don't bother us, basically. I'm like, wow, she's going to escalate because she's already coming at these young girls in a car.
Yeah, they're gonna, you know, when somebody's in a panic, and they speed off, like somebody could have been in a crosswalk, but they get the tunnel vision, which all you
Yeah.
see is through here, and you don't see anything around, and it
Yeah.
sucks. But if you see, and that's a hard one too, because if you see somebody that is a danger and you call, certain services and they refuse to do something, you know, you, and again, it's kind of hard. It's easier for me to say things like that, um, because I feel like I can go up to somebody and kind of look at their body language and see if they're an actual physical threat or not. I don't want to give the wrong advice and have somebody like, I'm just going to go approach this person, and that person could have an ice
Right.
pick. They could have something, so it's a hard one.
It is hard. I mean, I could have taken her. You know what I'm saying? I could have taken her even, but the young girls, they were in the right lane, so they were directly at her. I mean, she was right on the sidewalk next to them, and they were terrified. At first, they were kind of laughing nervously. It was warm. It was warm out, so their windows are down. I had turned off my music, trying to figure out what she was screaming at. So I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on over here? And I zeroed in on her, and then I looked at the car, and these girls at first were kind of laughing and giggling, and then their whole posture changed,
Yeah.
and
Then
they
they
got scared.
realized how
And then
serious
she
the
stepped
situation
off
was.
the curb to come at him, and that's when they just panicked. And thankfully, there wasn't enough oncoming traffic. They were slow enough that these gals could get out of the way. But
Yeah. And again, if you would have like
it's
run
not a
up to
bad
them, they could have hit you with a car. They could have anything could have happened. They could have hit it in
yeah,
reverse accidentally, and you just never
right.
know.
So anyway, you never know what's going on in the head of somebody. So just yeah, trust your gut. Try to be
Trust,
kind.
trust your gut. That's why. Also,
Trust your gut.
that's another quick tip for the ladies out there, for the guys too. If you're a sissy, pay attention.
Oh,
Um,
stop it! Come
uh,
on.
anyways, but yeah. So there's a couple of companies out there that make pepper spray, that I recommend. One of them is Saber, maybe. Anyways, it's called Saber. Um, and I like Saber, and there's also Lipstick Bodyguard. And what I always recommend to people is order two. The reason why I tell people order two is so that you can practice using it, because you have to understand how it works. The distance, how much distance you have, and always practice with your pepper spray, with your mace. Look at the expiration dates, because as soon as it expires, it loses its potency, and that's a perfect one that you can also use to practice. Once it loses its, order a new one before it expires. Use it and understand how to use pepper spray, people, or mace. The first thing you got to do is when you spray somebody, you have to sidestep. Get out of the way, because if you have and I'm going to say it, if you have a seasoned shitbag who are used to committing violent crimes, one of the things that they do, and prison guards see this, when they mace somebody that has taken pepper spray before, or there's something, the first thing they do is they charge you like a bull, and then they knock you down, and they grab your face and they rub their face on your face. Now you're both maced. They'll gouge out your eyes. They'll bite you because that's how that's how they fight. So one of my tips is spray and sidestep. Get out of the way. In case they do run, they can't see. And for those of you that have never been maced, when you get maced, your eyes will burn. It goes in your nostrils. Your nostrils are down. You get snots coming out. And if your mouth is open, then you get it. You can't see. You can't breathe. So, that alone is enough to stop an attacker. But those that have taken it before, their brains recognize what it is. And they just feel the burning sensation and the blindness. They don't go into panic. So they could charge you. So spray, sidestep. Practice that motion. Get a pepper spray. Make sure it's not windy. You don't want to,
Yeah.
and that's a tip that I tell people: make sure it's not windy. How many police officers? Make sure it's not windy. So spray, sidestep, spray, sidestep. Practice doing at different angles. That way you can spray, and then just learn to use footwork to get out of the way quickly. So that's a tip. I'm done with my tips. Okay, that's it. Don't get in walls. Don't get into bands. And
Well, we went from murder to pepper spray pretty quickly, but it's a good podcast. I liked it.
It was. And you know what? Really quick, one of the people in the comments asked a question about palm reading, and this might be the wrong episode.
Oh, yeah.
So, very quickly, palm reading. What is your opinion?
Super accurate if it's a really good practitioner. I've had my palms read by bad practitioners and good practitioners, but it's kind of amazing what it will tell you, what somebody can tell you by looking at your palm. And they're telling you personality traits, family traits, all kinds of stuff that, obviously if somebody's a really good practitioner, they don't know you from Adam. You're going to, some things are mentalism, right? They're watching you for subtle signs that you agree because you lean in, but that's not what this is about. I mean, they're actually talking to you about the line structure on your hands and what that means. And I have a friend who's a medium, and she's also a palm reader, and she's going to be on one of our episodes. And she's phenomenal at doing stuff like this. So I think, looking at palms is just another form of
divination.
I have books on palmistry, but I can't read with any kind of accuracy. I've studied my own stuff, but I don't claim to have any skill with it. So
let's say somebody out there, this is the last love it that we do on the show. So I hate when I whisper. People think it's creepy too. But it's almost like I'm a conspiracy theorist phone sex operator. Hey, are you okay?
Don't do that when I'm drinking. Okay.
Anyways.
What was your question? Oh, God.
All right. So when you're looking for a person that's going to read your palm, what is it that you're looking for? Let's say, how can you differentiate, like, this person is, tricking me, or this person is sincere? Like, is there cues that they can look for?
Palm reading is they have to be able to. They're telling you your personality, a lot of it, right? Because it's supposed to be wrapped up in the palmistry of your hand. So if they're like telling you things that are completely not who you are, then they suck at palm reading.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you know what? Thank you. We're done. Don't let them, like, sucker you into, like, wait a minute. Doreen, does the name Doreen? And you're going out the door.
I think most palm readers, though, are probably also mediums. So they're picking up on these mental images about who you are and your family as well. It's not just everything that's on your palm. They're probably getting messages from all over the place. And so that's probably why they're so good at what they do.
And here's another, I know I said that, that the last one was the last of it, but is there a way that you can prepare for, getting your palm read? Like, is there something they can do? Can you do like a breathing exercise? Just something, because I would imagine that if you're a person that's sensitive to certain things and you show up and then you're just this ball of energy and you're distraught, like it could really maybe cloud or overload the person or you're thinking about something that has nothing to do with you, or you're doing all kinds of things and then this person's kind of trying to pick apart like you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but they're not, they're not, oh, how do I say this? So they're not trying to get into your psyche and read your head. Somebody who's a medium is receiving messages from the dead,
From someone else.
or somebody's coming through them to give you, if you're, or have a reading, they're coming through that person to tell you a message. So it's not like, even if you're nervous or not, it doesn't matter. Those messages are going to come through. You can't. No, I would say just. I tell people, if you're going to go have a reading or palm reading or anything like that, don't give them anything other than your first name.
Yeah.
There's no reason they should know anything about you, because that way they can't research who you are and try to, go to your Facebook profile and see if you like this or that, or you have dogs or whatever. I mean, those messages should be coming in from
somewhere else, not from somewhere else.
Yeah. So just give them your first name. They shouldn't know your birthday. They should know nothing about you, because that way you know it's an accurate reading when you're getting it done. Whether it's palmistry, and Hannah was at a county fair one time, our county fair at home, and I had my palm read, and she was so crazy accurate that I knew she had to have been a medium as well, because she was really, really good.
She was really good.
So.
Huh. Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and she didn't even ask my name, so she couldn't have known me. That's what the point is that she didn't know me. I just walked up to her booth, handed my money, and that was it. And the reading started, and it was, my friends were like, "Wow, that's spooky." I mean, but that's how good they are, if they're good.
Yeah. See, those are great tips. I need to stop doing the whispering because of what I said earlier. Anyways, this was a great episode of Nightmare World. I was one of your hosts, Decon, here with a very whispery
SOS. And guess what?
You said it loud.
We forgot to do our trigger warning.
Uh-oh. All right, yeah, guys, the episode's over now, so yeah, go, I don't know, watch something that's not this.
We'll have to make a separate one and put it on the front of the podcast.
Yeah, just put it on there. Just put a picture of me, and they'll be like, "Oh, let's not watch that." So, anyways, guys, remember. Tell everybody about this show. Share the link.
Yes.
If you like what you see, let people know. Tell them I'm to make a wish, kid. Whatever you. I'm just kidding. That's wrong. So remember to always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves on Nightmare Road.